Hey, it's Andrew Walker here from the SA Property Investors Network. And a common conversation I have with a lot of property investors is around repossessed properties and not really understanding the value chain of a distressed seller. So let me just sum it up for you. When we talk about a repossessed property, that's a property that's been bought back by the bank. But let's take it a few steps back. The first thing that happens, as we know, is an owner buys a property, they get a bond, they start defaulting on the bond, and the bank will do whatever they can to assist and help that seller. So that's when you start seeing on private property and Property 24 easy sell properties where a bank may appoint Remax as an example to help the seller sell the property. Now, two things happen. The seller either does sell the property or they don't. The seller may bury their heads in the sand, and the banks get to a point where they now need to put a judgment against the name and they need to sell that property on auction. When that does happen, that then goes into stage 2, which is called the sale and execution, where it's public knowledge. It'll be on Sheriff HQ, the Green Gazette. And that is when there's a date set for the auction. Yes, you can still deal directly with the seller, but you'll also be negotiating with the bank. More than likely, there's arrears with the property, and you may need to pay those arrears in order to stop the property from going on auction. I've been at the sheriff's auctions before, where just as the sheriff is about to announce that property, the lawyer or someone's literally ran into the auction to say, stop. The banks have agreed to deal with the private investor. So that can happen. Let's assume that doesn't happen. What happens is on the day of the auction, you'll be in the room. A golden tip, always walk to the back of the room, get there a bit early. If you do want to bid on the property, you need to go to the admin office, pay a reservation fee, take your FICA documents, and all of that. So now you're in the room, two things happen. The property sells, you buy it or someone else buys it, or the property doesn't sell. The banks will then buy the property back. Now the property's been repossessed by the bank and the bank is the owner. So for example, you can go directly to Nedbank, literally go on their website, deal directly with the home loans team, give them the reference number of the property that you're interested in, contact a portfolio manager of Nedbank, and you can go buy the property. Now, two things, ladies and gents. Great thing is, most times, if it's a repossessed property, the outstanding debt will be taken care of, which is great. But a risk with it is that the owner could be in the property, the tenant could be in the property, and that could be a nightmare individual. So a golden tip here is do not buy that property unless you know the status of that property, who's in the property, what's the condition like. Sometimes it's better off just walking away. So the great thing with this value chain is if you understand it correctly, you can target the sellers before they struggle, when they're struggling, when the judgment is made at the sheriff's auction, or afterwards. So just ensure that you understand it, because the offer to purchase process could be different in terms of the type of OTPs that you use. So if you're interested in more, if you want to find out more, contact the team and we'll help you where we can.